Hey guys, E10 here from SunBros, and today we are bringing you the top 5 most underrated heroes. So obviously, there's not really a quality way to quantify this with numbers or statistics. So we're just giving our opinion, but I'm joined today by some of the Sun Squad A members, and we're going to go over a list. So kind of some of the criteria that we thought of when coming up with this list was people who are of quality, who we don't see in games very often, so they're just very underplayed even though they're quality good heroes. And number 2, people who are considered generally bad, but it's a misconception and are actually pretty decent heroes. So we're going to start with the honorable mentions, and I'm going to talk a lot about this first one because he is one of the heroes I really like that I think is severely underplayed right now and not very well liked, and that's Cyclops. I still love Cyclops. Every time I play him, even now, you know, I play him with this off-tank build, and I mean, you can ask the other Sun Squad guys. I generally finish top 2 in damage, top 2 in damage taken. If not number 1 in both, which is, I mean, any hero that can give you top 2 in damage and damage taken in a game is useful. Not to mention he's got a root and he's got, you know, speed boost with his second ability, and he can do tons of damage, and he can be very bursty at times. I think he's extremely useful in a fight. So I don't know. I think Cyclops is underrated. I feel like I haven't seen him in like the last 20 or 30 games, and he's definitely worth being played more than that. Do you guys want to add anything to the Cyclops piece?
Tons of AoE.
Tons of AoE. All of his abilities are AoE of sort, kind of.
No.
I mean, no, not really. I mean, his second ability kind of is because it can shoot balls in multiple directions. But his first ability can pierce anyone, and it does insane damage. And you can do it over and over again because of the cooldown reductions from his passive. So, yeah, Cyclops is a boss. I think that he deserves to be played more, and that's why he's an honorable mention to the underrated heroes. It's my little piece to get people to play more.
Yeah, I feel like most people that play him don't play him the proper way. They try to build him like he's going to be Eudora and he's just going to absolutely nuke everyone. But he's a utility mage. You know, he's kind of a support mage in a way, and the off-tank build is definitely preferable to trying to build him like a Eudora or something, you know.
Yeah,
he's way more useful that way.
He doesn't do the full damage build. He can, obviously, but that's not really his best piece to him. The best piece to him is having him be able to survive and do as much of that AoE damage with his first ability. And, you know, if you play him correctly, you can get 2 of those ults off in a single team fight, which is always really nice. But yeah, so Cyclops is our first honorable mention, and our second honorable mention to the list is Balmond. Balmond doesn't get played much at all, and one of the reasons why is because most people who do play Balmond play him full damage or a hybrid build, but the best Balmond build, Gregory, is what?
Full tank.
Full tank.
Until next patch.
Until next patch. But if you guys watched episode 3 and 4 of the Road to Glorious Legend series, you'll see our newest addition to the Sun Squad A team, Finn, who is a tank Balmond main and is an absolute monster. And that's not just true of Finn. I've seen multiple tank Balmonds who are just as dominant and, you know, really, really go to town on people with that build. So Balmond is our second honorable mention, and to kick off the top 5 list at number 5 is Yi Sun Shin. Probably some of you are thinking, why is Yi Sun Shin on the most underrated list when he's a very solid hero? And this is the reason why. Yi Sun Shin, in my opinion, and I think we all kind of agreed on this, is the second strongest ADC in the game behind Moskov. But he's probably the second least played that we've seen, and that makes him underrated. Layla gets picked over him pretty frequently and regularly. Maya does at times too. You know, Clinton and Bruno are kind of at the same play level, but Yi Sun Shin gets wildly underplayed compared to other ADCs in the game, and he deserves to be played a lot more. He's got one of the strongest ults in the game. The true damage bleed on the passive is insane. His overall kit is unbelievably good. Do you guys have anything to add to that?
He is extremely disruptive to regen and recall.
That is true, and that is a a very underrated ability. The ability to have people bleeding out for, 5-6 seconds or whatever length of time it is sucks. I mean, we've all experienced it. We've all been wanting to back and keep having it interrupted or regened when the bleed effect was still on us, and it like, crap, my regen's gone. Now I'm gonna have to back, and then you can't back because you're still bleeding out, and then you're just sitting there and not earning gold or XP, and it's a hassle, and it can really hurt the enemy team who continually gets ulted. And I feel like a lot of times when I'm getting into team fights or even in lane 2v2 fights, and I'm like, oh, we're starting to get ahead in lane, boom, I get Yi Sun-shin ulted and I fell right behind. Like, it's a pretty disruptive hero, and he deserves to be played more. Coming up next on the list is somebody that Gregory is very fond of, and that is at number 4, Minotaur. Gregory, why do you feel like Minotaur is underrated?
Because everyone apparently keeps on saying he's not as good as he is, when he's probably what, second best tank?
Second, I would
Maybe
say
third?
second or third.
I see a lot of Francos, but I feel Minotaur does just as good a job.
I see a lot of Johnsons too.
Yeah. So whereas like Franco is more of a defensive, pull your team and get a pick, Minotaur's a dive in, wreck your team.
Here's the issue with Franco.
The thing about Minotaur is, and when Minotaur is played correctly, he does an obscene amount of damage. I have seen Greg literally come close to leading the team in damage as a Minotaur playing with a tank build. Like he can do some serious damage if you use his passive correctly.
I'll say Minotaur's ult is one of the most devastating moves in the game, hands down. What it can do in a team fight, and I know that good Minotaurs usually do a flicker ult combo when he goes into rage mode, and that can half health some squishies and then just screw the entire team up. That is a very, very devastating ult. But Minotaur is one of the most tanky tanks also. What I mean by that is he's able to take one of the most damages of anyone in the game.
And he can heal.
And he can heal.
Yeah. And when he's in rage mode, he gets extra armor, extra magic resist.
And that's a freebie, isn't it? I mean, is that his passive?
Yeah, it's his passive, yeah.
When
rage mode is full, he enters rage, he gets extra armor, extra magic back.
If you guys are thinking about playing a tank, play some Minotaur. This guy is unbelievably good. He is great in lane. He's great in team fights. He's good at peeling. He's good at engaging. I mean, there's nothing that guy can't do. As a tank, he is the complete package. So that's Minotaur number 4. Coming in at number 3 is one of my favorite heroes, one of my favorite tanks, and honestly, she could have gotten number 1 on this list, and that is number 3 is Lolita. Lolita has probably one of the most effective team-oriented passives in the game. That passive shield is so ridiculous. Talk about the devastation of Yi Sun-shin's ult and his bleed effect, and that passive, that shield, negates the entire thing. You could literally sit through all of Yi Sun-shin's ult, get the bleed, and not lose any health because the passive shields you through the whole thing. It's ridiculous. Not to mention her constant ability to stun with her hammers. A Lolita who's good with the hammers is unreal. And then you talk about who's the strongest ADC in the game right now, Greg?
Me. Moskov.
What happens to Moskov's passive when Lolita puts her shield up?
You don't pierce through.
Yeah.
He also stops pretty much most of the strongest abilities in the game. Saber's blades.
Yep. It can stop Saber's blades, yeah. It can block Layla's ultimate. It can block so many things.
One of the most mistakenly used ultimates in the game that I've ever seen is Lolita's ult. People use Lolita's ult to try to finish people off. That's a mistake. Lolita's ult is not for finishing people off. Lolita's ult is one of the best slows in the game.
It's also an amazing 5v5 initiator.
Yes, it is.
If they it's an engagement ability.
Yeah. If they go on you ult, everyone has to scatter because no one wants to stand in there and take a crap ton of damage.
Let's get a little feedback from Milkshakes. Milkshakes, you are a Lolita main at this point because we make you pay her nonstop. Why do you think that she's great, and why do you think she's underrated?
I feel like she's like super underrated just because it's just, nobody, I guess the hammers, like, yeah, it's a toggle ability. You have to make sure you're landing them. A lot of people just like the point and click kind of abilities, but her ult as well, her shield is massively strong. and her ult I like to use as a zoning more than like an initiate. It works as an initiating, and it works, but purely just the slow and the zoning, because a lot of people don't like to initiate in the ult when you send it out.
I'll tell you, one of my favorite, as a Moskov main at this point, one of my favorite things is when Milkshakes initiates with his ult, man, and I'm doing that pierce damage. Not only does that make them really hard for people to get out, but it also causes people to have to burn their escapes, because no one wants to get hit by the hammer. So they burn their escapes just to get out, and they haven't necessarily gotten farther away from me, who's doing all the damage in the back line. So if I can teleport into where his ult is and then knock some people up against each other or against walls because they're all trying to run away from this ult, it makes my job as an ADC a lot easier. And Lolita's ability to take damage is off the chain. She is up there with the top tanks as far as her ability to tank damage and stoke up damage. Her passive shield gives her even more, and then when she's ulting, she takes no damage. So she can really be a damage sponge for a team. Milkshake seems like he lives forever in those fights while I'm murdering everyone, and I appreciate that. So Lolita comes in at number 3, guys, as the 3rd most underrated hero. And coming in at number 2 is Greg's secret hero crush, Bane. Bane comes in at number 2. Greg, why don't you tell us why Bane is on the most underrated heroes list?
Well, because everyone thinks he's the worst hero in the game. I mean, that alone means that he's
Wait, he's
clearly
not?
underrated. No? I mean, you've got people like Akai, who's pretty trash at the moment. Yun is terrible. Alpha's pretty terrible, and you see a lot of Alphas.
He doesn't like Alpha at all.
Alice
I like
pretty,
Alpha.
You know, Alice isn't very good at the moment until she gets buffed.
Well, let's not talk about who's not good. Let's talk about why Bane is good.
But then you've got Bane, who just sits there and he's probably the 2nd best farmer in the game, next to Moz. Probably the best pusher in the game for towers. One of the best sieges in the game, because he's all. It doesn't matter if you're like a mile away under tower or something. You can just drop the ult down and walk away. Team heals. Like, I think if you've got a comp which is good poking and sieging under towers, he's actually probably one of the best in the game.
He is. I mean,
and
so
he's got slow on his bubble, which is a mini AoE as well.
So all of Bane's abilities are good. His passive is great. His first ability, which is his little shot, is good. His second ability, which is the heal, is actually phenomenal. It's probably one of the better heals in the game behind. I was arguing with somebody about this the other day. It might have been Wife, but I think Bane's heal is better than Raphaela's. I would take it over Raphaela's heal.
It's like 6,000 at max level.
It's a lot of healing, and it can heal everyone on your team if you want it to.
Yeah.
And he seems to be able to cast it more frequently than she can cast her heal. That might just be me not remembering properly, but he seems to be able to do it quite a bit.
Well, it lasts for a lot longer on the floor.
Maybe that's what it is.
And the best thing is, say you're in lane and they're trying to use their regen, you just go up and hit a minion, and your passive procs and hits everything in the lane. And then all of a sudden you've got no regen.
The passive is insane. That is true.
It's the biggest range ability in the game, probably. The passive range is huge.
Besides
huge.
global ults, yeah, or global abilities, but yeah. And Bane's ultimate does not just let's not underrate this. Bane's ultimate doesn't do damage to towers. Bane's ultimate destroys towers. Like,
yeah.
It's nasty. So like, Greg got on a little streak, a really annoying streak where he was playing Bane nonstop and ranked and stuff. And for all the crap that we talk on Bane, and for Bane being considered the worst hero in the game, Greg finished every game with like top 2 in damage taken, top 2 in tower damage, and top 2 in damage done. Because he played Bane pretty much full damage. And obviously you expect him to do top 2 in tower damage. He's a great lane pusher and a great distraction, but he does some nice damage in team fights. His healing ability is actually way underrated. It heals a lot more than people think it does. And if you're a smart Bane, you cast that on yourself when you're in the middle of a fight, so you can help sustain while you're fighting. It's pretty phenomenal.
You're pretty much unkillable once you're in the barrel. If you're alone in the barrel, you can pretty much 1v1 anyone until the barrel. Like, I've 1v1'd Freya. I can't remember who was in the game. And
it sounds like a lie, but yeah.
It wasn't. Was it Eddie or?
Yeah, it was me. It was me.
Yeah,
you're talking
Eddie.
about 1v1 with Freya.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he did it.
Obviously, I wasn't in that game playing Freya because I would have murdered you. But That's
I mean, I
neither
was
here nor there.
doing pretty well, but it was still impressive to 1v1 a Freya.
So the reason that Bane is underrated and he's number 2 on our list is because he's not that bad of a hero. He's not. He's very useful. He can do many different things, including 2 of the most underrated things in the game, which is healing and split pushing and tower damage. If you're talking about how many times do you guys get sieged in a fight where, you know, they're holding their tower down, but you want to take it, and you can't. I mean, freaking, he ults and can take a tower down, and nobody can stop it. It's pretty pretty amazing
no way to
ability.
Stop the ult.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Whereas Lolita, you can just stun her, or do you know what I mean? Someone else is trying to siege you on the tower, you just stun that person, like Gord, or pull them in, or
Sure.
But you can't stop Bane. It just comes, and you have to live with it.
Bane allows his team to be extremely aggressive and much more aggressive than they would otherwise be able to be. So Bane is number 2 on our list, and coming in at number 1 is none other than Ruby. So my thing with Ruby is that if Cho is the king of CC, then that would make Ruby the queen of CC. I think people underestimate how much CC she actually has, and Wife has actually been on a Ruby kick lately and has made me really appreciate Ruby a lot more. I also got to play Ruby in a live stream game the other day because we were doing random pick, and I finished with 32 assists. Ruby's insane, guys. Ruby is unbelievable for a team. If you play her off tank, she does a little bit of damage. She takes a lot of damage, but Ruby's ult is one of the best CC abilities in the game. It can pull 5 people if they're in range. And then she can immediately stun them all with her second ability. And then she can slow them all with her first ability. And they're dead by then. It's over. Like, it's unbelievable. And Ruby's ult, remember, 1 or 2 patches ago got an extension, so it goes further out than it used to, and it's a lot further than it always seems like it should. I know that happens to me a lot, where I'm like, I'm out of Ruby's ult range. Nope, I'm dead under tower. Like, it always seems longer than I think it's going to go. But what do you guys think makes Ruby underrated? Greg?
You need to get your wife in on this one. She plays Ruby more than all of us. I don't even own Ruby.
She doesn't want to talk.
She's got. I think the ult's the worst thing. It's just, it seems 2 million times range than it is.
It is.
I think that people expect her to be a really high damage fighter. You know, they think that she's going to be like a Freya, and she's just not. And they're not able to utilize the kit that she does have. You know, and I guess that's probably what makes her underplayed and underrated.
I think that's exactly right. Is that people generally play her full damage, and she's not going to survive in full damage. She won't be able to do the full effect of her CC in that manner. But I'm telling you guys, the best thing that you can do right now in game is run 2 tanks, or a tank and an off tank rather, is my favorite way of getting it done. My favorite off tanks include Freya, Ruby, Cho, and Cyclops, for example. And when played properly as off tanks, they will finish top 2 in damage taken and damage done. And that is extremely useful for your team, especially with those 4 particular heroes and as much crowd control as they offer your team. Solid picks. So if you got a Minotaur and a Ruby, or a Minotaur and a Freya, or you know, a Tigreal and a Freya, or whatever, or Tigreal as everyone else says, great. Your CC abilities are insane. You throw in a Moskov and a Eudora or a Gord, and you're pretty much set. You can have any 5th jackwagon, even an Alice or an Italia that no one likes. But yeah, that's why we have Ruby at number 1. Her CC ability and her ability to actually just affect games. And Ruby's just not played very often at all, and her ability to affect games, I think, is off the charts. And that's why Ruby's number 1 on our list.
And she's going to be really good next patch.
And Greg can't stop talking about all the new items and how much he loves them all, and he's going to go buy replicas of them and wear them around the house.
I've got t-shirts made, and
yeah, Greg is really stoked about this patch and all the new items. They're all overpowered in one way or another, pretty much, and it's going to be awesome. We're looking forward to the hero with the most boring name of all time. Is her name Betsy? No, it's Hilda. It's Hilda.
Betsy.
The hell kind of name?
Look, the most terrifying names in the world. Hilda, Betsy. You got Dorothy coming for you.
Mary Jo.
Yeah, her name is Maud.
Coming at you straight from the 20s, Hilda. Like, it's hey, the hero looks awesome. The name is awful. Let's just be honest about it. They could have
It's
named her
no,
anything
the-
else.
The name doesn't fit the character. She's a big giant barbarian called Hilda.
Yeah.
You know what would have been
With
more
what?
appropriate?
With
Olga.
breast implants.
Olga
Yeah.
would have been more appropriate.
Yeah, definitely.
You expect some big ugly woman from a name like.
Right? I don't know.
No offense to anyone called that is watching.
If your name's Olga,
I'm pretty
Gregory
sure
is deeply sorry.
Olga is not watching this, I promise you.
I mean, if there's someone called Holga and they're beautiful, feel free to send me pictures of your beautifulness.
Oh my god, he's such a creep.
Olga is like boiling some cabbage right now in Romania. Or something.
Hey, if you're
not watching this,
if you're in Romania boiling cabbage, making like fresh sauerkraut or something, please, or even cabbage and sausage, send some of that my way. I would be glad to taste
Send it
test
to
that
me.
for you.
we'll make a video about it.
I will make a video of me eating your foods. Anyways, guys, we appreciate you guys watching the top 5 most underrated heroes in Mobile Legends. If you guys have anyone else that you think deserves to be on the list, or potentially deserve, or any of our choices that deserves to not be on the list, let us know why in the comment section. We love chatting about stuff like that. So if you guys enjoyed the content, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit that little notification bell, and share the videos, guys. We appreciate when you guys share the videos. That's what helps us grow. The more we grow, the more content we're able to put out. So we appreciate your guys' help with that. And comment below with all your thoughts on underrated heroes and any other top 5 ideas that you have for us. We are going to start putting out top 5 videos at least 3 or 4 times a week. And anything that you want to see a top 5 done on by the Sun Squad group, let us know. We'd be glad to put that out for you. And as always, till next time.